young love has made me old, tired, restless, oh, and blue. She left me with nothing. Thank you so much. Was St. Paul and the Broken Bones.
What's up, man? How are
you? Man, how are you?
Good.
I think Jesse is in the house as well. Let me just.
Cool.
I gotta. There he is, Jesse Phillips,
the dingus himself,
in the flesh. Can you hear us, Jesse?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey.
Oh, hey, dingus.
Hello.
Hey. Kevin and Jesse Phillips, thank you for joining, guys. What an honor. What a pleasure.
Thanks for having us, man.
Absolutely, guys. I mean, so glad to see you guys perform, man, and see you guys here and catch up. And before we get started with anything, Kevin, congratulations on your nuptials there.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. How was the ceremony? Tell us a little bit, our audience, a little bit about the location. It looked beautiful and just kind of like the vibe.
It was amazing, man. We got married in Olympic National Park above the clouds, on top of a mountain. And it was just the two of us and a small crew to make the ceremony happen and document it. It was pretty special, man.
Man, that's amazing. So who was the priest? Like, who presided over the ceremonies there?
We found an officiant in Washington named Amber Bartz, who was really, really great. Highly recommend her if you're trying to get married in the Washington State area.
I love it. And Jesse, you guys with Kevin, I mean, I saw you guys perform and I saw you guys backstage, and you guys have such incredible chemistry amongst you too. I mean, it just reminds me of people like, I don't know, like Bruce Springsteen and Clarence Clemens, or Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, just like buddies, man, like soul brothers. When Kevin came in and he was that last minute replacement, Jesse, for the Sick Camellia tour, when did you realize, man, this guy is actually like a cool cat?
I still don't think that, to be honest. I just put up with, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, I was aware of Kevin as a musician for years before he ever entered our orbit. And his reputation was good. Like nobody ever has a truly negative word to say about him. I don't know, Kevin. We just like jumped into the fire, and next thing I know, we were blood brothers, basically. I mean, he came in hot, and then he was one of my favorite people in the world within a couple of months. So just that relentlessly positive energy, I guess.
Well, you're just not watching me all the time. No, it's mostly a lot of drugs.
Yeah,
lots and lots of drugs. I'm constantly self-medicating.
Oh man, you're a jokester, but like the fact of the matter is you're a cool cat. So maybe part of that is true, but not fully.
Our band mostly gets along due to heavy benzos prescriptions that we take.
No, it honestly was like when I came in, I sort of the same as Jesse. Like I obviously knew of the band, but I knew of most of the guys in the band and was friends with some of them. And then when I came in, it was just like instant friends all around. We hit it off, and we're making inappropriate jokes within the first 5 minutes of the first rehearsal, I think.
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. Well, and what a weird time. Oh, go ahead, Jess.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, you make, if you're going to become friends, it's sort of like touring like that is gonna like push you together that much more quickly, just because you're living together, you're working together. It's sort of like a high pressure environment. I mean, some people would say it's like, oh, it's like going to war together. Like, it's not like that. I would never make that analogy, because of the nature of warfare versus what we do. But it is like a very intense and personal space, and like there's not really any room for poisonous or negative energy. So if there's going to be chemistry, I think it becomes pretty apparent and starts cooking pretty quickly. When you're just out there, and your testing ground is in front of people too. It's not like when Kevin came on, we didn't have a whole lot of practice runs to warm up. It's like bang, all of a sudden he's playing with us on Kimmel and like in these big theaters on an A-market tour all the way across the country.
And Europe, right?
And Europe, yeah.
Exactly, man. I mean, what a time for you, Kevin. I mean, one day you're giving drum lessons, thinking about your next career steps, and then you get that call from Chad Fisher. And all of a sudden, here you are with these guys.
Yeah, it was life-changing, to say the least. Life definitely has not been the same since. And if I can help it, I would prefer not to go back to what I was doing before I started playing with these guys.
Sure. And Jesse, we talked a little bit about this in Atlanta, and it's going to come out in the film that we're putting out later. But like for the podcast audience, I mean, you grew up in like the Vancouver general area of Canada, not necessarily known, or at least it doesn't have the reputation for jazz and soul and Otis Redding and all this beautiful music that influenced you so much, Jesse. So how did that music really come into your soul?
Well, yeah, for the record, I did grow up in British Columbia, but quite far from Vancouver. So, so I mean, it was, I didn't even have that much exposure to sort of culture that you might get in an urban area like that as a kid. I mean, my parents were into music, mostly into country music and some classic rock, but I mean, they were very accepting of anything that I listened to. I had some great mentors growing up that sort of helped introduce me to some other things I wouldn't have heard otherwise. But I mean, the big thing was I went to college in New Orleans. At 18, I left my rural little corner of the world, and never having been to New Orleans, I just showed up to go to school at Tulane initially, and most of my education did not take place in the classroom. I did manage to graduate after 5.5 years. But I mean, I just went to shows constantly. And I mean, it was like after years of not, growing up and not having access to something like that, the fact that I could literally just pick a name off a flyer stuck to a light pole and it was probably going to be good. I mean, I saw everything. They're both in the funky music. I mean, I saw Herbie Hancock in the original Headhunters. I saw
that's amazing.
A bunch of Marsalis brothers. I saw Galactic. Like, I was just constantly going out to these shows and seeing New Orleans-based musicians and touring musicians as well. And basically everything I saw blew my mind apart a little further.
That's amazing.
Once you, I think once you acquire the taste for, I don't know what you would call it, more rhythm-based or groove-based music, I mean, you never really go back.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And speaking of groove-based music and jazz and all this rhythm kind of music, Kevin, when you joined the band, I feel like just checking you guys live and checking you guys on video and stuff. Am I wrong that there seems to be like sure, everyone has their job in St. Paul and the Broken Bones, but at the same time, it feels like everyone is trusted with their skill level that they can kind of take liberties. Like, I don't think I've seen the same song performed the same twice, if that makes any sense. Would that be accurate, Kevin?
It feels that way for sure. And that's like one of the things I brag on when I talk about our band is yeah, there's a certain level of trust there where like everybody's good and competent at what they do, but maybe even more importantly, like everybody trusts each other, especially when we're on stage and we're playing. So like if somebody goes for something, even if maybe they try an idea and it doesn't totally land, there's this sort of feeling uh like everybody's got it, everybody else's back. That's not to say that they may not give you a bunch of shit once we get off stage, but there is this trust where like you can try something, you can be creative, and uh it's I feel like, to put it succinctly, the energy in the band is it's better to take chances and try to make something beautiful in the moment than just to play it safe for the sake of nailing everything note for note. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
that definitely feels like a unique thing, especially in today's like in the landscape today of bigger bands that tour and have a fan base, that we can
Yeah,
improvise and stretch
people
like
play
that
with
is really
tracks and
cool.
stuff. The fact that we don't play with tracks sometimes like blows people's mind. It's like, nope,
Yeah.
we're just making all these noises
It's
in
amazing.
real time.
No, you guys are one of the best live bands. And Jesse, how does that work? And I'm not a touring musician, but like Kevin alluded to it. So I'm genuinely interested in this stuff. Do you guys have like a debrief like meeting the day after a show, or that like if someone like really screwed up, or there was some comment, like positive feedback, is that given after a show, or do you have like a meeting after? Like how does that work?
uh, well, one of the best things about the environment we've created is I would say the most of the pressure on the players in the band comes from within themselves. So if somebody does really like f something up, uh, I mean, it's almost always them, dogging themselves the hardest immediately, and uh, even if it's not that big a deal to the other guys. So,
But okay, Kevin, let me ask you this, man. When you joined the band, did it freak you out to see like Paul perform? And what I mean by that is, man, like there's videos of him just like getting off like 40 feet, like speaker towers, basically jumping out into the ether of like audiences. Was this something that like people prepared you for, like, or like you knew was coming? Like, because that's like the paycheck, that's the moneymaker. Was part of
Yeah.
you like, what the hell, man?
Well, no, I knew what to expect to a certain extent because I'd seen the band before. I knew about them like almost since they became a thing.
Right.
Uh, but that's not to say that there weren't moments where I was scared for Paul's life when he climbs on some crazy tall thing, and I look around and everybody on the bandstand is like, "Oh, don't look."
Right.
Like hopefully he makes that out of this in one piece. So it wasn't surprising, but there were definitely moments where I'm like, "Oh my God, you idiot! What are you doing?"
That's
But I
crazy.
mean, he's one of a kind, man. He's a real showman.
I mean, what about you, Jesse? I'll ask you the same question. You dropped out there for a minute. You obviously you've seen the whole rise of the band, obviously, because you are co-founder. With Paul, there's video of him doing like Eddie Vedder kind of stuff, where he's jumping into like 40 feet tower of speakers and jumping
yeah.
into like crowds of people. Like, I'm not exaggerating, folks. Like, we'll put a clip when we edit this together. Because it is insane. Was there ever part of you that just like, are you used to it at this point to see this kind of stuff?
Uh, it's harder to surprise me now than it used to be, I guess. And I think Paul has had enough brushes with serious injury and or death that like he has sort of learned to suss out what he's going to thinks he might do a little bit beforehand rather than just. I mean, he is really had some close calls. I think it was maybe the Fillmore in San Francisco one time. He was on a side fill stack on the side of the stage and misjudged the height. And I mean, like, he was hurt. He was hurt for days afterwards. It's like when he hit the ground, he just crumpled. He was like, but I mean, I was kind of used to it because I played with Paul before we got this, you know, the band that became St. Paul and the Broken Bones up and running. Like, I had played with him in another scenario, the previous band, and I mean, he was even more absolutely batshit off the chain back then. I mean, I remember playing a show with him, and he used to play guitar, which meant he had another thing with which to hurt himself and or break. Strapped to him. But I did one show we played at the Bottle Tree Cafe, RIP, in Birmingham. I don't know, he was like playing guitar and he was standing on top of a guitar amp and the guitar amp started rocking and then it shot out from underneath him and he just like, he fell on his leg a real awkward way and like probably like blew out his knee and then like smashed the input jack through the side of his hollow body guitar and just ended up in this like pile of like feedbacky guitar singer mess. And he had to get assistance getting his pants off that night. I mean, that's like because his knee was too effed up. Like, so yeah, I was like aware of what could happen. I think now that he's got a child, maybe he's just a little more cautious, although I thought that before, and then he'll still show up and do something that's, but
I love it.
Kevin, I don't think you were with us, but I saw something go by on the internet recently where like we played some amphitheater in Portland. Maybe it would have been probably 2017, so pre-Kevin, but like there's this picture of Paul like in a trash can, like his feet just sticking out of a trash can. Like, you know, so I just like had totally forgotten about it. It's just like, and it's an active trash can with trash in it, you know, just like, I guess he just dove into the trash can thinking that was a good idea and it tumped over with him in it. I don't really remember exactly.
Unbelievable, man. I love it. Guys, you guys have been so generous with your time. Where are you right now, Jesse? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm at my home in Missoula, Montana.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm sitting in my backyard. I've been building a studio in my basement for over a year, and the builders are here today, so they're making all kinds of racket in my house. I had to move my office to the outside by my garage.
It's so good. It's so good. And then Kevin, you are in Atlanta, I assume?
Yep, at my house in Atlanta.
Love it, love it, love it, guys. Tell us a little bit about like the dates that you have coming up. I know, like, you know, assuming that the Delta thing doesn't get out of control, like you guys have a pretty solidly busy calendar. I think we're gonna see you at Wildwood Revival in October next.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah, like tell us a little bit about like, you know, what people can expect from St. Paul. Obviously, you guys are not touring a new album yet, but you know, but you guys a lot of material, I guess.
Yeah, we're
Jesse,
trying to
you want to take that?
We're just sorry, hang on, I just got a call. I had to decline. It showed up on my yeah, we're trying to figure out how next year is going to look. Obviously, everything is in flux.
Yeah,
with the COVID stuff, and there's a lot of uncertainty. I think we feel pretty good about most of the shows we have for the rest of this year. Most of them are outdoors. It's very likely that we will have to start being more cautious about how we do things again, at least for the next little while till we see how this plays out. But no real concrete plans yet. As of now, you know, we plan to put out some music early next year.
Nice.
And in the meantime, you know, the rest of the shows that we have this year, it's a good opportunity for us to just kind of like road test some things, play some new songs, kind of tweak them so that when we do get out there and, you know, have to pound the pavement on a new release, we'll be in good shape.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, Jesse Phillips, Kevin Leon, you guys are awesome souls. I'm so happy we connected. Thank you guys for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yep.
All right, guys. See you down the road.
Take care.
Bye.